video, I'm going to be answering some of the most common questions about who is Her Two Wheels. It's me. I'm Her Two Wheels. My name is Jess, and I started my Her Two Wheels journey in 2015. So I'm going to try to keep a long story short here, as always, but in 2015, at the ripe age of 26 years old, I spontaneously agreed to learn how to ride motorcycles. I never had any interest in riding motorcycles. I didn't care about motorcycles. I kind of didn't really like the people who rode motorcycles, if you know what I'm saying. And I just kind of dove in head first. Fast forward a couple months after realizing this might be something I wanted to do, I got my permit, almost failed that test. I took the actual riding test and I did fail that test. I have a few other videos in my library of why that happened and how it happened, but essentially I have severe test anxiety. I did excellent learning how to ride motorcycles. I had no idea about the concept of how they worked, how they shifted. I literally came into this sport knowing nothing. So fast forward a little bit, after I got my endorsement, after practicing many days in a row, and then I passed my class getting my endorsement, I wanted to be on social media. I had no friends that rode at the time. Nobody in my family rode at the time, so I was by myself a lot, riding my motorcycle. My husband didn't even ride at the time. So I decided I wanted to start a social media page to potentially find other women riders in my area, or just online in general, and find inspiration. I immediately set up a Tumblr account. That's how old school this is right now. So back when Tumblr was still big and exciting, I wanted to be one of those Tumblr girls. Man, I wanted to have all of the aesthetic photos. I wanted to be cool and share my story and yada yada yada. So I was like, what can I name myself on Tumblr that's really just gonna beat people over the head that I'm a woman rider? I'm a brand new woman rider, and I'm very excited about this. So I came up with the idea of Her Two Wheels. Original, I know. But it worked, it stuck, and people really started understanding that me, Jess, was Her Two Wheels. So after being on Tumblr for a while, and the real thing I loved about that website at the time was the anonymity. So you could really be on there and be anonymous, essentially. I quickly realized that Tumblr was fading out, so I started an Instagram page. And my Instagram was, of course, Her Two Wheels. I was on Instagram trying to grow, trying to meet new people, and really just trying to establish myself in the riding community, because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know about the events, the rallies, the poker runs, I just genuinely didn't know anything. So being on Instagram really opened my eyes to the women who were already doing this. Men and women, if I'm being honest, but in my head, the concept of women riding was such a new thing to me, because I just genuinely didn't know any better. I was very ignorant to the history of women riders and just motorcycling in general, honestly. So after a few years of starting an Instagram page, I started discovering motovlogging on YouTube. So in 2016, 2017, I was consuming a lot of motorcycle content on YouTube. That was when it sparked my inspiration, and it made me decide, hey, I can talk a lot. This is something I'm probably good at. Why don't I start a YouTube channel? And I did, and I was like, well, I kind of want to call it Her Two Wheels, because that's what I'm known as on Tumblr and on Instagram. So I got on there, I created an account, and I saved my URL, youtube.com/Her2Wheels. I got it. I got the name. That's me. I'm ready. Let's start making videos. Nothing happened. I made the channel in January of 2017, and I sat on it. Continued watching other YouTube content, motorcycling content on YouTube, continued feeling inspired, continued really just seeding that passion of riding, and I wasn't doing anything with it. I was working a full-time job in my full-time career. It was my dream job. I had the best job in the whole world. And then something slowly started shifting in me after I learned how to ride motorcycles. I started experiencing a freedom that I'd never known before. I started experiencing a weird kind of respect from people that had no idea who I was. So, especially in corporate America, you develop a lot of very surface level relationships with people. And that's fine. I don't mind it. I had my core group of friends that I loved and trusted, and so that was enough for me. But then once people started learning that I rode a motorcycle and getting that little hit of dopamine every time somebody was like, oh, that is amazing, that is badass, girl, you are, it felt so good to hear those words because I'd never experienced that before. So I really started learning to love riding and what it meant and how it made me feel. So finally, in 2019, I attended my very first ever motorcycle convention in Columbus, Ohio. I believe it was the AIM Expo at the time. And for the first time ever that I've seen in my city, the expo invited YouTubers, moto vloggers, to have a meetup, like a meet and greet. And I was like, it was people like Shade Tree Surgeon, Blockhead Moto, Fooligan Vlogs, Suburban Delinquent, and a few others. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these are celebrities. These are celebrities that I watch on my television in my living room, and they're gonna be in my city. So I had to go meet them. And I was pumped, man. I rolled up, I was ready to take my selfie with these people. I had no idea who they are, they had no idea who I was, and I didn't have any content at the time. So there was one woman at that event as like an invited guest, and I was just like beyond amazed, beyond inspired by the fact that these people are normal, they're real, and they're living these amazing lives. I don't know how else to explain it. And from the day that I learned how to ride a motorcycle, I knew that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. And I wanted this to be my life. I was ready to do whatever it took to make sure that somehow, some way, I could ride motorcycles for a living. And the fact that I'm not an Evel Knievel kind of girl, I'm not a speed demon, I'm not a risk taker, I'm not a knee dragger, and I'm really not even that good at riding, if I'm being honest. But I knew I wanted this to be my life. And so the very next day after that expo in Columbus, I bought my very first GoPro, bought it used on Facebook, and I strapped it to my helmet with a microphone, and I went off and recorded my very first moto vlog. That was addicting. If I'm being honest, if those of you who are watching right now actually have a YouTube channel, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the same feeling that I got when I was an artist full-time. I used to draw and illustrate, and I went to art school, and being able to create something out of nothing and then share it with people and get a response back, it was just once again another hit of dopamine. It was something that my brain craved. And so I just started filming all the time. I was uploading 3-4 videos a week sometimes, just rambling, riding around, rambling. And it very quickly turned into something that I couldn't get enough of, honestly. I wanted it to stay like that forever. I really did want it to be very, very minimal effort. And that's something I've tried to get through to my viewers on my channel over and over again, is like, I am a normal person. I'm just a normal rider. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy touring. I just enjoy motorcycling. And I'm not a filmmaker. I can still very, very badly edit videos. And I really wanted to be that source of normalcy for you, literally for you. I don't want people to look on the screen and think like there's a famous person. Like, nah, dude, that's not the case. My goal has always been to represent the normal rider in the United States, at least. That's where I'm from. I live in Ohio. And I did. I feel like I really did. I've developed some of the closest relationships with you guys. I feel like you are my true friends. I feel like I can tell you anything, and I've developed really great relationships with some other amazing creators in the space. I don't consider myself an amazing creator. I very much struggle from imposter syndrome quite often because I'm like, whoa, I'm not doing XYZ, or my videos aren't getting this many views and I'm a failure. What am I doing, you know? And then I really have to keep reeling back and being like, you're normal. You're a normal person, okay? You're doing what you love, and that's all it takes. That's all you need. So for those of you who are new to the Her Two Wheels channel, or the Her Two Wheels brand, I'm no longer just on YouTube, guys. I have over 100,000 followers on Facebook now, 85,000 followers on Instagram, and it took me a long time to realize that those numbers aren't interconnected. You know, some of you follow me over there and some of them follow me over here, but it's grown so much to a community that I personally never dreamed of even having, that it really gets to me sometimes when people come up to me and they cry, or they're shaking, or they're nervous, or they won't come up to me at all because they think I'm this like top tier level famous person. As humbling as that sounds, like seriously, honestly, I am a normal person. Of course, my ego can get to me a few times, and it feels so good to think that you think that way. But at the end of the day, I'm like, please come say hi to me. You know, I want to know your story. I want to know your favorite roads. I want to know how your dad's dad got you into riding and you crashed your first bike at the age of 4. You know, like these are the stories that I never got to live. And I'm living them now. I live everything vicariously through you guys, and of course through myself, because everything's new to me. That is who Her Two Wheels is. I'm literally just the girl next door. The girl next door who fell in love with big V-twin Harley-Davidsons, who fell in love with the feeling of traveling long distance, meeting new people, and just being in the exact same shared space as other people as passionate as I am about this very newfound hobby of mine. It's not a hobby. This is literally a lifestyle. It didn't used to be. It used to be a hobby, but now it's officially a lifestyle. The reason I enjoy making videos like this kind of at the beginning of every year is because, for the most part, some of you who are thinking of getting into the sport of motorcycling, this is one of the hardest months to think about it and do it because it's cold. It's winter, you can't ride, you can't do anything. So I'm sharing my story with those of you who are interested in maybe doing this or learning about motorcycling, because it has forever changed my life in the best way possible. And I'm not saying that if you learn how to ride a motorcycle, all of a sudden your whole life is gonna turn around. Like that was just me. I'm a little intense and I have the too much gene. You know, when I start something, I can't stop. I go overkill. But even before Her Two Wheels, yeah, I'm Jess. I got married in 2015 to my long-term boyfriend at the time, now my husband, and learned how to ride motorcycles the same year, and nothing has ever been the same since then. So it just feels good to kind of get that off my chest. And if you guys have more questions about obviously how I passed and failed my motorcycle safety foundation class, what my first bike was, all that jazz, of course, leave a comment down below. I am a little bit more active into responding to comments over on my Facebook page, of all things. It's a bit more engaging with you. YouTube feels very like I'm projecting and then you're watching and that's it. It's hard to, YouTube doesn't show me every single comment sometimes, especially with responses. So if you guys want to, follow me over on Facebook at Her Two Wheels, and obviously on Instagram at Her Two Wheels. But being here on YouTube is just as wonderful. Well, it looks like it's clearing up outside, so it's time for me to throw on the gear, put on the helmet, hop on the motorcycle, and go film something else. You can catch that video later on in the week. Until my next one, thank you guys so much for watching this one. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel, only if this is at least the third video or something that you've seen. If this is the first one, go watch a couple more. Until my next one, you guys be good, and I'll see you later.